Fantastic Four First Steps released in the theaters this past weekend. That means today I'm going to rank all 11 MCU films based off a superhero team. Now, a couple things, in case you can't tell. Didn't live stream my MCU ranking yesterday because I've been sick this weekend. Again. Yay. And so my throat's still a little weird. If you can't stand the voice, I guess just don't watch this video. I plan on live streaming tomorrow, most likely. I'm going to give my voice one more day to heal, and then I will be back at it tomorrow. But what I clarify as a team movie is we're not including, like, Civil War or anything with the Avengers in it. We're not including stuff that, like, Thor Ragnarok, where you have the Revengers in it. We're strictly including straightforward team movies, like the Avengers, all the Avengers movies, all the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and the Marvels. Those are the movies that we are including on this list. So before I give you my ranking, please make sure to go down below and tell me your ranking. And while you're down there, if you don't mind, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and hit the like button. Bell especially, so you never miss another ranking in the coming future. And with that said, let's dive right in. Number 11, which is going to be The Marvels. Now, I don't dislike any one of these movies. This one is a solid 2.5 star, 3-star movie. It's okay. But the thing is, the movie just doesn't do anything real special. I mean, it's fun to have Iman Vellani back. Even though I think Brie Larson is highly unlikable in this movie as Captain Marvel, it's fun to see her and Teyonah Parris and Iman Vellani in this movie. I don't hate the villain like a lot of people hate her. I think she's a completely fine villain. There are some solid action sequences. There are some solid jokes. It's fine. But overall, the movie's just more generic than anything. Like, it doesn't have that one thing that makes the movie pop besides Iman Vellani. It's completely watchable. I went to the theater to see it. I sat down. Actually, I saw this in the theater twice for some reason. And I said, that was a good enough time. I think the ending, what they do with the hero sacrifice, I think hero sacrifices in the end of these MCU movies are just so overplayed because you know they're not actually dead. They're not actually killing off their characters. So it just didn't really work for me. And then the post-credit scene kind of sets up Doomsday a little bit, but it left me a little bit more confused. And a couple other things in the third act, like Miss Marvel taking over Teyonah Parris' house literally after she just died, takes a little bit of a dirty taste in my mouth, but I find the movie completely watchable. Is it one that I'm ever going to go back and revisit? Probably not, but it's completely watchable at worst, or at best. At worst, it's still completely watchable. My number 10, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, a lot of people adore this movie. That's not me. I think the movie's fine. There's plenty of things I love about this movie. The whole plotline with Rocket, Yondu, Groot, the Ravager ship, the whole stuff with the Ravager stuff, I think is some great stuff. This third act, as soon as you find out what Ego actually did, just gets so intense, emotional. Yondu's sacrifice, I know I said I don't like hero sacrifices, but they actually killed off Yondu, so it's very effective and very emotional. Also, you have some great action sequences in here. You love the Guardians, and I think this is probably the funniest MCU movie besides Deadpool and Wolverine. I know a lot of people think this movie's mean-spirited. That's not me. I mean, obviously, I think the movie's mean-spirited, but that humor definitely works for me. My problem is with the pacing, where once you get on Ego's planet, you have Star-Lord and Ego trying to bond. And when you're on that part, the movie slows to a halt. Or quite literally, you have Ego and Quill playing catch. They're just playing catch, and they're talking about stuff they missed in life. And, like, you go from the Ravager plotline to that. It goes from great to screeching halt. So it's definitely difficult to watch. I think the first act is paced really miserably. So very difficult film to watch. If I'm going to rewatch any of the Guardians films, this is not going to be the one that I ever choose to revisit. Number 9, Avengers Age of Ultron. The weakest Avengers film, in my opinion. But, again, still a solid movie. In fact, like I said, I don't hate any of these movies. This movie, solid 4 stars. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, 3.5 stars. This movie is a solidified 4 stars, and I recently revisited the movie, and so it made me think that this is actually one of the more important MCU movies. The way it sets up all these different plot lines within the MCU, I really like. As much as I wish Ultron was used more inside the MCU, I think James Spader is great, and he does have this presence and the stakes are really high in this movie, and I really do like that. I do like how they set up Vision, how they set up all the other things, utilizing the events of the Avengers, utilizing the events of the Winter Soldier, setting up for the future MCU. I do like how all of that was done. Wanda and Pietro, some good additions to the franchise. Love the Avengers aspect. I still love these characters. Are some great action scenes in here. Honestly, I know a lot of people don't like this part, but I think the Bruce and Natasha romance really works in this movie as well. So this is a movie I do really get a lot out of. I mean, heck, we even get to see Claw at some point in the movie with just one of the best action sequences. The Hulkbuster sequence is great. The movie definitely has some pacing issues. It has some flaws. It does try to go for a bit much here and there. But overall, I mean, this is by far the weakest Avengers movie, but it's still one that I really love and I really do put on often. So, I mean, that's saying a lot that most of the MCU team-up movies are great, that this is at number 9, and it's still a movie I really enjoy. Number 8, The Eternals. Now, let's be completely honest, where the Avengers Age of Ultron's at on my MCU ranking, this one's like 10 spaces higher. So, yeah, this is all in my top 20 movies in the MCU now. The Eternals is a movie I get why a lot of people hate. It's a weird movie. It doesn't really fit inside the MCU. But as the MCU, as a lot of their movies do feel like they're directed by a committee, directed just by Kevin Feige, a lot of studio interference. This one, it's nice to have Chloe Zhao make a movie, have her ideas for the movie, and implement those ideas into the movie. And they are all really effective. I do really enjoy seeing her creative style on screen. I like this cast. I think there's some really good action sequences also. The Celestial was amazing in the end of the movie. The creatures that they attack them are really cool designs. So yes, is this a really weird MCU movie? Absolutely. Is it one that I get quite a bit out of every time I revisit it? Yes, because it is one of the more unique MCU movies out of them all. Number 7, The Avengers. This is in my top 15 MCU movies. This one, I do think it definitely has some pacing issues, a little slow here and there, and then just kind of picks up speed completely out of nowhere that I think is a little odd, but you cannot deny that this movie was special. You have never seen a movie before that combined all of these different franchises, combine them so perfectly into a movie. I love the dynamic between every single one of them. I think the movie's quite funny. It's got stakes. Loki's a great villain. Sets up for the future MCU in a near perfect way. It's got some great action sequences. I especially love the interactions between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark in this movie. I think that they have some perfect banter that really questions the ideas of the morals and really kind of just sets up Iron Man as this whole on this whole arc up until Endgame, where, you know, he sees that vision and he actually does something about it. He saves the world. So kind of sets up the arc there. So, I mean, this is just a movie that it's something that's never been done before, and it's been done here. And it just completely changed the way we view comic book movies. And so it's a special movie. It's a great movie. Number 6, Fantastic Four, First Steps. The reason I'm doing this video, now I'm not going to lie, I had this higher. I had this in my top 5 out of the theater. Recency bias, but after thinking about it, I lowered it just a little bit. What I love about this movie is that it's only an hour and 55 minutes. It's paced extremely well. It is quite literally a ticking time bomb to stop Galactus from eating their world. That's what I loved about it, because you're quite literally feel like you're in this completely different world. You love this family. I mean, Pedro Pascal, even Moss Bangrock, Joseph Quinn and Vanessa Kirby, all fantastic in here. Ralph Ineson as Galactus, his voice is incredible. Julia Garner as Silver Surfer is a great Silver Surfer. So, I mean, love the family aspect, love the cast here. Takes us away to a different world, completely sets up the world building perfectly. Galactus, like I said, I mentioned Ralph Ineson, but saw this in IMAX, and seeing him, like, the first time he steps out of his ship onto Earth is just mind-blowing. The first time you just see him appear from the shadows, mind-blowing awesomeness. So, I mean, this is just great villains, great family aspect, and I just love the pacing, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this is going to be a movie that when it comes out on 4K, I'm going to purchase it. And I'm going to watch this one quite a bit because it just so watchable. It is so watchable, and I can't wait to visit it again. And me, as growing up, the Fantastic Four were some of my favorite superheroes. The Thing, I quite literally adore The Thing. Literally, my email is, I'm not going to give my email away, but it's something about The Thing. So, I mean, young me is insanely happy that we got a Fantastic Four movie, and it's just great. I cannot wait to revisit it. Number 5, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, this is a movie that I saw in the theater. I left disappointed, and I never revisited it until Thunderbolts came out, and I was going to do this ranking, and I just fell in love with it. It is an absolute crazy situation how I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I felt like so much of the marketing was like, who's going to die? We're talking about, is Peter going to die? Is Rocket going to die? And nobody died, and it quite literally felt like James Gunn felt too attached to these characters, and he didn't want to kill them off. And that's kind of what it was. But, I mean, I revisited this movie, and I just fell in love with it. The emotions stem from the flashback sequences to Rocket, which are just unbelievably heartbreaking. The High Evolutionary is a fantastic villain, one of the best inside the MCU, just thinks he's a god, and it's just so crazy. I think the final hour and a half of the movie is just this big action sequence, which I think is awesome. The emotions also in the end when they break up actually hit me this time when I didn't feel anything in the theater. Still love this cast. The James Gunn needle drop inside the hallway is some great stuff. The setup to get there, it's one of the more unique MCU movies because quite literally from the very beginning, something extreme happens, and throughout the entire movie, it's just kind of non-stop pacing, but it is extremely entertaining, and I didn't feel a single second of the movie. So this one was just one that I am surprised I didn't love out of the theater. Now I love, and I'm glad I revisited it, and it is one of the best MCU movies. Number 4, we got another Guardians of the Galaxy movie, this time the best one, the original Guardians of the Galaxy. This is a great movie. James Gunn takes a bunch of probably D-list characters that no one's really heard of and makes them household names. There is so many emotions with these characters, all cast perfectly. Peter Quill, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista's great, Bradley Cooper as the voice of Rocket, Vin Diesel as the voice of Groot. Great cast here all around. Ronan, I think, is a really good villain, where, again, it's another movie that sets up for the future of the MCU in Infinity War and Endgame, but is also more unique because of the fact that it is Ronan and he's working for Thanos, and it is really awesome. The ending is emotional, where they're all holding hands, they feel like a family, but the movie completely ends with a dance-off to save the universe, which I think is great stuff. Yondu is really cool. This is just a prime example of classic MCU in Phase 2, where they were just putting out banger after banger after banger after banger after banger, and especially this one because they're characters no one knew about, and it's a perfect movie. Kicking off the top 3, and before I do, please make sure, go down below. It would really mean a lot if you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the bell so you never miss another video. And what are your rankings of all the MCU team-up movies? And stay tuned, tomorrow I'm going to have the live stream ranking of every single MCU movie. And with that said, my number 3, Thunderbolts. The best MCU movie out of the recent, the multiverse saga. I adored this movie, and I actually have the 4K Steelbook arriving to me this week, so I actually finally get to revisit the movie. It is just a movie that made me feel like we are back in Marvel at its prime. Now, a lot of the recent Marvel movies, I'm not going to lie, weren't great, but a lot of them I have enjoyed. I've enjoyed them more than a lot of people have, and so, saying that this one's the best one by a long shot and takes me back to when Marvel was just putting out banger after banger after banger. Just like I mentioned with Guardians of the Galaxy, this one is more than a superhero movie, though. Yes, you get the characters. You love seeing Yelena, Red Guardian, Bucky, John Walker, Ghost, back here. Bob is a fantastic addition. We'll talk about him here in a second. But it's also a movie about mental health. It's a movie about the mental state of these characters inside the MCU. And if you know me, movies about mental health really hit, and so this one really hit me in an emotional state. The ending of the movie, where you're just going through the void, is just perfect and emotional. I feel like the hug to save the world is just a great way to get those themes across. And that's the thing, a lot of recent MCU movies are kind of meaningless. They don't have themes. They're just there to set up things that are just going to get resolved along the way. This one is a movie that sets up things. We get the new Avengers, we get all that stuff, but we also have themes about mental health, which makes the movie so special. And it is a top 5 MCU film for me. Absolutely adore this movie, and I cannot wait to revisit it. It's a perfect MCU movie, and the best one in probably since Avengers Endgame in 2019. Speaking of Avengers Endgame, that's my number 2. I really love this movie. I actually, quite literally 5 minutes before I started recording, just finished rewatching Infinity War and Endgame. I rewatched Infinity War yesterday. I watched half of Endgame last night, woke up this morning, watched the rest of Endgame. And it's a perfect movie, obviously. It is a perfect conclusion to the Infinity Saga with all the satisfying payoff. You pay off things from other movies, whether it's just a little line or a complete plot point completely set up. It sets it up so perfectly. The action in this movie is great. The final 45 minutes to an hour, just that big action sequence with Thanos' army versus the Avengers army, just absolutely awesome. You get the emotional payoff after Infinity War, where you get to see all these characters together. And more importantly, Tony Stark, where he's been having that arc since the very beginning of the franchise, finally pays it off. Where in Age of Ultron, you see him see the Vision and Captain America say, "You could have saved us." Well, now he did with that snap, and it's always just so satisfying. I always just want to start clapping my hands every single time it happens. I think the time travel aspect was really good. When I first watched this movie, the time travel aspect completely shocked me, and I think that it is a perfect thing that happens, where it's something that has never been done before in this franchise, and it's super unique and new. And seeing us go back to 2012, 2014, seeing all this stuff is really cool. The sacrifice of Natasha is really emotional. So just all around a perfect conclusion to the Infinity Saga. But the movie, I think, that is better than it is the film that sets up Avengers Endgame, which is Avengers Infinity War. Now, every time I'm sick, I do revisit Avengers Infinity War. I was just in the... I don't really revisit Endgame as much, but this time I was just in the mood to, especially because I'm in a huge MCU rewatch mood right now. But Infinity War is just perfect. From the very beginning, where Thanos attacks his ship, and it's just so intense. You get that intensity. You see all these characters that you were setting up for the past 10 years be able to interact with each other for the first time, whether it's the Guardians of the Galaxy with the Avengers or Iron Man with Doctor Strange. You never thought you would see that, and you do see that, and it is perfect interactions. Great action where you get either the fight on Titan or the fight in Wakanda, or even like just the minor fights, like the fight in Scotland with Captain America, Wanda, Vision. All of that, just some great fights. And you also get the emotions, where you get some hero sacrifices in here, where Gamora says, "You never loved anyone," and he just tosses her off the cliff, showing that he did love her. Just some great emotions in here, and a perfect setup for Avengers Endgame. And then, obviously, the snap and when they lost is just some great stuff. So, Infinity War, I think, was my personal favorite MCU movie. I did bump it down one spot because I do think there's one better. That you have to wait for the live stream to find out what it's my favorite MCU film. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Stay tuned for that live stream. And a couple shorts are coming out where I'm going to rank the Fantastic Four movies, the actors, several things in there. So thank you guys for clicking on this video. And with that said, subscribe.